All right, so for this week's newsletter, we want to talk about sleep and performance. I feel like it's a good time to talk about it because our strength and conditioning class will be doing their PRs this week. So a few things to consider when you're thinking about sleep. Most people understand that you're really only gaining muscle when you're asleep because that's your time of recovery. But to be aware of when you are outside of your ideal range. So probably if you were to go to USA Today, it says how many hours you would get. 8 hours. 8 hours for me is too much, but my ideal is probably like 6.5 hours, just because that's what I've been accustomed to over years. Once I'm outside of that, once I'm in a dead of that, so say if my ideal range is at 7, I'm at 5 hours of sleep, and I consecutively do that, I start to actually regress as far as my muscle. So not necessarily gaining, but if I'm not getting that, I'm regressing as far as my muscle tone or how much muscle I have there. So be aware of that. The regression of muscle also can cause injury down the line, because most times what we're doing here, we're trying to keep things in balance, create muscle balance to avoid injury. If I start to have regression, I don't get to pick which muscle regresses. If I start to have that muscle regression there, that can also promote some sort of injury. So I don't want to go backwards in muscle. I don't want to give myself a better shot of getting injured. And probably the last, most important thing as far as your entire day is your cognitive function. You won't be as clear, you won't be as sharp. You could be cloudy throughout the day, especially if you're coming in here. If it was a week we were working at 85 or 90%, it's hard to get yourself there mentally, reach that mental intensity. And especially if you were to go for 105% of your 1 rep max, it's just hard to keep that mental intensity under mental fatigue. And if I were to give a few tips as far as sleeping, would be going to bed at a time that you decided before you were asleep or before you got home. So say if you're at work and it's 1 p.m., you're like, I gotta be in bed by 9:30, stick to that time. Next thing, turn off the phone, put the phone down, put it across the room or whatever, shut off the lights and everything like that. You want to put yourself in the best shot. It's real easy to lose hours on your phone, and especially as adults, you should know that. That's real easy to lose hours on your phone. I like to use my phone as an opportunity to have some sort of sleep noise. So you can YouTube it, you got Spotify, Apple Music, whether it be sleep sounds. I like to listen to thunderstorms or something like that. So that kind of lulls me along to sleep. And as well as, I'm sure you heard it at this point ad nauseum, things like melatonin, you can take Valerian Root, those sorts of things that kind of aid in your sleep. But to plan your sleep, plan what time you have to eat or whatever before you can get there to get to your sleep is the best option to have your ideal performance based off your sleep.